This is Southern Cross News with Rick Fontaine.
Good evening, everyone. Hobart's waterfront has played host to a demonstration of community anger against the development of salmon farming at Oakhampton Bay on the east coast. A flotilla of protesters flooded the area and warned the state government they'll be taking this fight all the way to the next election.
Hobart's waterfront swarming with activity on what would normally be a quiet Sunday. More than 100 vessels turning out to show opposition to plans for a salmon farm at Oakhampton Bay.
Wake up, Will! There's an election!
From tinnies to luxury cruisers, vessels of all shapes and sizes taking to the water, including commercial fishing boats. This fleet demonstrating the diversity of the groups getting behind today's action.
The East Coast is the last good bit we've got left, and we just can't afford to let them in, mate.
As the boats gathered in Sullivan's Cove, so too did crowds swarming on the wharf. Even surfers jumping on board the cause, united in opposition to salmon industry expansion.
This is people from all walks of life in Tasmania, and what unites them is their passionate love for the ocean and their belief that Tassie can be clean and clever.
This is a brand new group that's coming across. It's crossing all political boundaries. As the rage spreads and the longer this goes, the crankier we'll all be.
Central to the fight is Tassale's planned salmon farm at Oakhampton Bay. The state government recently announced a ban on development outside this site, but that is doing little to reassure opponents.
The industrial fish farm still remains, so I think it was just a band-aid political move by them. As we've all seen, it doesn't take a large area, right, and volume to create big problems from what these fisheries do.
The state government declined an interview request, only releasing a prepared Facebook video saying industry regulations and oversight are being tightened up.
Salmon farming is really important to regional Tasmania, employing 5,200 people.
Tassale was also not doing interviews, releasing a statement saying strict guidelines are in place to ensure the Oakhampton Bay salmon farm has critical environmental protection programs. But that will do little to appease these protesters who are vowing to keep up the fight until the state election.
We are not going away. Even if they put those pens in the water, we are not going away. Even if they put the fish in the water, we are not going away.
While Tassale's project would create about 25 ongoing jobs, today's demonstration shows that's not enough to secure a social licence from the whole community. Michael Breen, Southern Cross News.
The state opposition is blaming a lack of Tasmanian leadership for poor results in the latest State of the Regions report. Tasmania has been ranked below the national average on most wealth indicators by the Australian Local Government Association. While the state's south has been benefiting from booming tourism and property, the north and northwest continues to suffer from high unemployment.
There are no strong Tasmanian voices in the Liberal cabinet who are pushing Tasmania's advantage, and that needs to happen. In the south we have a different scenario, of course, but in the north, those guys, they should be able to get this done, and it's just not happening.
The report calls for the federal government to further invest in regional infrastructure. After 2 weeks of dark and disturbing themes, Dark Mofo patrons are tonight taking part in a ceremonial cleanse. The annual Ogga Ogga processions is moving through the streets of Hobart as the Winter Festival enters its final days.
A final practice run for tonight's main event. Volunteers learning techniques to carry the all-important Ogga Ogga.
People have been putting their fears into the Ogga Ogga. It's made in Bali, and then we carry all the Ogga Ogga and its fears and a couple of other Oggas through the streets and jostle them around.
The Indonesian ritual is used to cleanse, stripping away the troubling themes of Dark Mofo, with festival goers set to watch their written fears go up in flames. 18,000 fears consumed by this year's Ogga, the Tasmanian thylacine.
For here it's about winter solstice, so we've brought together this great merging of Tasmanian tradition, new tradition and Indonesian old tradition.
The procession taking off from Parliament Lawns late this evening, heading straight for Dark Park. Loud noises of the Oggas to tomorrow be followed by a day of silence.
And we cross live now to our reporter Jacqueline Robson, who is at Dark Park. Good evening, Jacqueline. And how many people have turned out for tonight's event?
Well, Rick, thousands of people have poured down here to Dark Park to witness the ceremonial burn take place, and as you can see, it is smouldering away there behind me. Tonight is the last night for Winter Feast and Dark Park, so those who want to come along better get down soon. This burn is marking the final days of Dark Mofo 2017, and it sure has come with its controversy. The final end to Dark Mofo happens on Wednesday with the nude Solstice swim, and as I understand, registrations are still open, so there's an opportunity for you to put your name down, Rick.
Yes, very funny, Jacqueline. Unfortunately, I've got to work tomorrow, so maybe some of the Southern crew might have to go with us. A course change for this year's Launceston Ten is paying off, with entries up 50%. Runners praising the festival atmosphere following a revamp of post-race entertainment.
A perfect start to the remodelled Launceston Ten. Nearly 2,000 runners setting off from City Park this morning, heading north up the East Tamar Highway before looping back at the University of Tasmania. The rhythm of runners, music to the ears of organisers who have seen a 50% jump in entries this year. The increase credited to the redesigned route and new recovery options after the finish line.
It's always been a great road race. But what we wanted to make it into was a great running festival which encompasses the village because people like it and they come back.
The sweat factor skyrocketing in the unusually warm conditions, but puffed out participants labelled this year's 10 a personal best.
Conditions were great, lots of people out and about supporting everybody on the course, so no, fantastic.
It was good, it was quite warm out there actually. Didn't need long tights on, but that's okay.
All smiles from the event's youngest athletes too.
Because I always get closer and closer winning.
There's quite a lot of people, so it's really fun to overtake them.
From face painting to food, City Park became an athlete's heaven. Runners sharing the satisfaction of crossing the line.
And it was just a great atmosphere running with, locals and also people from the mainland. It's great, yeah.
We'll bring you all the results from the race in sport. Tom Johnson, Southern Cross News.
A memorial has been held for the Tasmanian dog who inspired a campaign to change dangerous dog laws. Flowers were laid for Cody, the German Shepherd in Kingston today. The dog was declared dangerous in December last year after attacking two young boys who allegedly provoked the animal while in its yard at Wynyard. Cody's owner made the decision to euthanase after witnessing his deteriorating condition due to the strict confinement requirements.
Anyone to come in and take the life of one of your family members, isn't on.
Around 14,000 people have signed a petition to change dangerous dog laws. Tasmanians have remembered a conflict sometimes described as the Forgotten War. Descendants of soldiers were among those commemorating 115 years since the end of the Boer War, fought in modern-day South Africa.
There was a forgotten war, which perhaps their ancestor participated. And when you consider now, such as my grandchildren 5 generations ago, probably 100,000 Tasmanians would have some connection with the Boer War.
860 Tasmanians served in the conflict, 41 of them died. Tasmania's regional areas are benefiting from short-term rental accommodation, according to a new report. The study, released by holiday rental platform Stays, estimates more than $160 million flowed through the state's economy last year. The East Coast generated just over $23 million, followed closely by the Tamar and North region, while the Northwest generated almost $15 million. The economic lift has also supported around 1,300 local jobs.
Victorians have raided this year's Launceston Ten. David McNeil fell just shy of the race record in the men's event, while Sinead Diver has created a perfect lead-up to the Athletics World Championships by taking out the women's title. Former champions dotted the start line at today's Launceston 10. 3-time winner Liam Adams was tipped to add another crown to his infantry, and early on these predictions seemed accurate. Adams enjoying the inside line ahead of the pack during the early stages, but 30-year-old David McNeil had other ideas. After the main turn, McNeil jumped on a slingshot, breaking away from Adams to cover the final kilometres alone. The former Burnie 10 and Run the Bridge winner taking the honours in 28 minutes 54 seconds, just 17 seconds short of Mark Tucker's record set in 2007.
Hopefully we'll get another good year maybe next year and have a few more pushing for that time, because that's how records get broken.
Adams finished second, Ben St Lawrence third. The quickest of the Tasmanians, Josh Harris, finishing sixth.
I was in the hunt for the third place coming into the final straight, but the other three guys just kind of ran away.
A magnificent run in the women's race too. Sinead Diver was behind early in the piece. The leader, Rio Olympian and 2015 Launceston Ten winner, Eloise Wellings. But heading back down the East Tamar Highway, Diver went hell for leather. The 40-year-old stunning the field, finishing 58 seconds clear. Her time, 32 minutes, 51 seconds.
It's really special. Like, I've been wanting a 10k PB for a while, and there's not that many fast 10k road races around. So, yeah, I'm really happy I got it today. It's been on the cards for a while.
To basketball, and a 20-point game from Jeremiah Ingram has helped the Tall Timbers to a win over the Centre of Excellence in Canberra. Hobart Chargers' men's side was also on the road, but they fell short against Bendigo and Ballarat by narrow margins. In the women's, the Hobart Chargers lost to Bendigo. The Launceston Tornadoes beat the Centre of Excellence before losing to Canberra in the dying seconds. The Tawns had the opportunity to send the game against Canberra into overtime after a player was fouled in the final play. But the Tawns couldn't convert their second free throw, leaving the final margin at a single point.
Good evening. It was a fairly mild Sunday with temperatures averaging 15 degrees around the state. Hobart, Burnie and Devonport all reaching a top of 14, while Launceston had a top of 13 degrees. St Helens, Friendly Beaches, Bridport and Flinders Island all reached 15 today. Lowhead and Scottsdale not far behind with 14, while Lyowini and Medina struggled to reach double digits. Taking a look now at the satellite, a cold front has brought low cloud to the state and coastal parts of Victoria, while a massive mid-level cloud lays over the Tasman Sea. The rest of the continent remained mostly cloud-free. Closer in, low-level cloud over the west and southern parts of the state, with cloud developing across the east coast by the afternoon. Taking a look ahead to tomorrow, the high continues to dominate as a front moves across the Southern Ocean and a low develops over the northern Tasman. On the waters, northwesterly winds 15 to 25 knots, reaching 30 knots about the west and south, swells reaching up to 4 metres. A strong wind warning is current for southern and western coastal waters between Tasman Island and Sandy Cape. Tomorrow is looking partly cloudy for Hobart, 16, Dover and Ouse both expecting a top of 15. Launceston partly cloudy, 16, possible showers for Devonport, 16 also, and 14 for Scottsdale. Showers for Burnie and Stanley, 15, Strawn showers 14. A partly cloudy 16 for St Helens, Swansea 16 and Ross 14. Looking ahead to Tuesday, showers about the west and south contracting to the coast in the late afternoon. And Wednesday, showers about the west and south with some westerly winds becoming light. Thursday, showers developing around the west, north and far south during the day, but fine elsewhere. Now let's take a look around the country tomorrow. Fine and sunny with a top of 18 for Adelaide, possible showers for Sydney, 19, sunny for Darwin, 30 and a foggy start for Melbourne before hitting 16 degrees. And right now in Hobart, it's 10 degrees, partly cloudy, a bit chilly in the north, 6 degrees for Launceston and 6 in Devonport also. Looks like a cold night ahead, Rick.
Yeah, a beautiful sunny day. We must expect a cold night. Thanks for that, Britt. Well, that is all your news for this Sunday, the 18th of June. Joe Palmer will join you tomorrow night from 6 p.m. Thanks for joining us. Have a great Sunday evening. Good night.
Salmon farming.